as a president or leader or CEO of a business, you're not just responsible for your bank account and your family's future, you're responsible for everybody that works with you.
Welcome to the Business Playground, where we discuss real business owners' stories and their tips and tricks with no filters.
Welcome back to the Business Playground. This is your host, Jacob Odell, and today I have the honor of speaking with Brad Lepper, who is the founder of Stone Brew Coffee, and you can inform them a little bit more about what Stone Brew is, what they do, and what you do.
Well, thanks for having me. Yeah, we started Stone Brew in 2015, just kind of as had no intention of getting into the coffee business, but had a real estate and other business opportunity that needed a coffee shop, and my now partner, Nick Topf, was working for another local distributor and roaster, and he talked me into thinking that I can run a coffee business. And here we are a few years later, and a lot of water under the bridge.
Definitely, and you got 2 locations now, right?
Yeah, it's had a few more than that. We kind of went really wide, and then pandemic hit and a few other things, and figured out that maybe we were going to go a little deeper and maybe not as wide, have more focus on our locations.
Definitely.
So yeah, so we have our roastery that we just finished, we're sitting in now, and then our main retail location down on Sunnybrook Drive in Sioux City.
Yep, and this is going to be the headquarters now as well, correct?
Sure. So this was, I guess to back up just a little bit, so we started Stone Brew thinking just going to have a drive-through coffee shop, nothing too big. And then we did that, and about a year or so in, we were approached to do another cafe out in Dakota Dunes for a new office building that was going in. And at the time, they made what appeared to be a pretty nice offer from a lease standpoint and so forth. So we did that, and then from there, we ended up having another opportunity with some other local businesses. Like there's a little coffee bar in Honda, and so we kind of grew like that. And then in the process, was able to bring on Nick Topf as a partner, and we started roasting about 2 years ago, just about 2 blocks away from here at 609 Wesley. And so once we started that roasting business, we started distributing to other coffee shops. Basically all the supplies that we sell in store, we actually distribute out of our distributing side of the business, and needed a bigger space, and so here we are.
Hence this new building.
That's right.
Which is awesome. And you guys have the first floor and the second floor. What you were telling me that you're renting it out.
Yep.
So that'll be nice, especially to get some foot traffic coming in through the front door as well. And you know, Stone Brew is a big name now, especially in Sioux City.
Yeah.
And I feel like, you know, I haven't been here long enough to know the development of Stone Brew, but I can obviously tell that you've actually had an impact on the community within Sioux City and the nearby areas, because it's some good coffee.
Oh, thank you.
You know?
Yeah, that's a lot of credit for the coffee goes to all the players in the business, whether it's Nick roasting it and the baristas who actually are making it every day. I don't get to take too much credit for that, but I think that we've built a cool brand. I think it's something that people enjoy spending time in our cafes, from the design and just the look and feel of the store. And that's really, we built this place to be the office headquarters, the roasting facility, our warehouse. So we really built it more from the wholesale side of the business, but the way that this kind of front room shaped up and the way that it looks, we thought, well, we want to give people an opportunity to come in and experience this and see coffee roasting firsthand and enjoy the space with us.
Yeah, I almost feel like I'm at one of those candy shops where they got the big glass windows. You can watch them make the candy.
Yep.
So it's cool. I mean, I've never seen some of these machines before, and you know, of course, I also think that you're involving the back end of a business into the front end of the business, which is really cool. And that's one of the first things that I noticed when I came out here was you're also showing people like what actually goes into your company.
Sure.
And it's not just the forefront, oh, happy faces and stuff. It's like, no, this is us. This is raw. I mean, we're also using raw beans, so might as well show them off. And that's the great thing as well, that I think that being a distributor is people get to see that side of the business, you know, and they know that it's authentic. It's not, you know, it's not an import that artificial or whatever is going to be bad for them.
Yeah, so we're not just, you know, white labeling something from somewhere else. You know, it's the coffee is from Peru and Guatemala. They bag there on the farm, and We bring them in and turn them into what you enjoy at the cafe or at home. And I think that a lot of people, our brand, I don't think has really made that shift yet as far as perception is concerned. I still think that most people who know of Stone Brew in Sioux City or the surrounding area, when they think of us, they still think of drive-through coffee shop. They think of cafe, place to go get lunch, place to get breakfast, pick up a coffee. That's still primarily the way they see the brand. And I think that this location, as it starts to grow and people get down here and experience it, they'll start to understand that as a company, we really do a whole lot more, and that the retail side is really just in Sioux City.
Yeah.
That it's literally just out of that Sunnybrook location and a little bit here.
Yep.
But other than that, our entire business is in distributing and cafe consultation and design consultation, equipment sales, service, all of that jazz.
Yeah. One-stop shop if you're helping other businesses too.
Right.
So that's the great thing.
Yeah, I think a lot of people that get into this business, they look like franchise model, whether it's Starbucks, Caribou, Scooters, the kind of the list goes on of the different coffee franchises. And we looked at that, but I think I love small business. I love business in general. And I think there's something special about having a locally owned cafe, and especially here in the Midwest. I think there's a lot of room for growth. And so we decided to go that route of more helping people start their own businesses and help them avoid some of the mistakes we made early on, and give them a little bit of a jump start with their business locally. And then it's great for us because we get to provide them with a lot of the inputs, and so that's how we make our living on that side.
Definitely, I love it.
Yeah,
it's a great little business model to have, and it's definitely a unique one too, because typically it's just coffee shop, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Have that front end, but my big question for you is, how did you come up with the name of Stone Brew?
It's the first cafe was on the corner of Stone and Gordon, so Stone got integrated in, and then Stone Brew. So a lot of people will ask, what's with the U logo, and what it represents is a coffee cup with steam coming off of the top, and so a U with the line over it, or an umlaut, makes it the long U sound, the oo sound. So Stone Brew, and then we just kind of tried to make that U into an icon of a coffee with a vapor. So that's
awesome.
where that comes from.
Okay. Yeah, I was always curious about that.
Yeah.
And other people have asked me too.
Yeah.
Because they'll see me with a Stone Brew cup.
I need to do a better job telling people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, also I don't think it's a huge key to your stuff, but that's a fun fact for the city to know.
Yeah.
In that sense, because it's also related to the city.
Yeah, it's Stone Avenue, and there's Stone Park, and there's quite a few things in the Sioux City area that have that word associated with it, but that's where it comes from.
Definitely. And transitioning into like the actual business side of things is, how many people did you start out with when you?
As far as employees?
Or like you and you a partner?
Yep, so it was myself and then a gentleman named Robbie Jennings.
Okay.
He was the store manager, and he's still a partner. And then Jeff Boonstra. So there were three of us at the beginning, and Jeff is still involved and still a partner in the company as well. So I would say that as far as how it was structured, that Jeff was more of the capital or the money behind starting that first store. We started it with like $50,000 is what the total upfront cost, and just a hood for Sunnybrook was like 40-something thousand. So anyway, we started the whole company for that amount. And then Robbie managed the day-to-day operation of the store, and then I was in charge of more of the business side of it, like setting everything up, and then building out the store and helping to just keep things running. I never was, and still am not, a full-time employee of the company, but I spent a lot of time on Stone Brew, so that's how it got started.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, what's your average time spent on the business day to day?
On business day to day, or on Stone Brew day to day?
On Stone Brew. On
Stone Brew day to day, I don't know. I would estimate 4 to 6 hours, something like that, because I don't think it's good enough to just be in the building, because there's plenty of times that I might be here or at the cafe and I'm not actually conducting Stone Brew business, but I'm guessing it's somewhere in that range.
Definitely. Okay. And when you guys were like onboarding people, starting to hire, what did that look like?
Just as far as like how do you start hiring people, or what were we looking for when we were hiring people, or both, all the above?
All the above.
I think hiring is one of the hardest parts when you're starting a business where you need employees. We put the word out, like every small business does. You put a sign out that says now hiring. And I remember when we got the first one to come in, I was like, well, what do we do now? And so we had some applications that we picked up from Staples, where they sell them in packs. So we had her fill out an application and did a quick interview, and it's like, well, this seems like could be a good thing, and that's, I guess, how you start. And from there, there's payroll and all those things, which we used an accounting firm in town that I had a previous relationship and still do, and so they handled the payroll. So a lot of that, the tax information and those types of things was all with them. But in those early days, there was not a whole lot of structure when it came to, like, what do we need for an employee handbook, and what do we need for all these different procedures. So yeah, every business kind of, I think, starts that way, and then you just start to fill those in as you go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in that same boat right now with looking for other people to actually join the team, because you want to outsource your weak skills and focus on your strong suits. So that's where I think I'm looking at right now too, in my businesses and things like that. So the great thing about that is to know more people so that you can actually talk to them about how they did it. Because I'm always curious of the hiring process and going through that, because it can be scary as an individual who wants to be employed too.
Oh, it is. I remember interviewing for jobs when I was younger, and it's scary as heck. And it's, I wouldn't say equally scary, but almost as scary on the side of the employer.
Yeah.
Because you just, no matter how somebody interviews, you just don't know how they're going to be once they actually get into the business. And whether or not that person is everything they say they are in the interview, or whether they may be all those things, but maybe they just don't gel on a personality standpoint. There's so many variables when you're dealing with people working together on a team, that Gary Vee has a great adage that's hire fast, fire fast.
Yep.
And I really believe in that. I waited too long in the early days of the company to let people go, and I think missed a lot of opportunities to actually build culture through letting people go, that allowed things to go on and things to be done that were detrimental to not only the business but the team and to other people that were employed with us. Nothing dangerous, but just from employees feeling like maybe we didn't have their back. Like somebody didn't clean up at night before they left, and they did it all the time, and everybody who opened after they were there always got screwed. We should have fired that person to set the standard and to let that morning crew know that, hey, we have your back, and we're not going to leave you hanging. So that's what I mean by setting culture through firing. And luckily today we have we have a great staff, but there's always churn, and you are never done with that process.
Right.
But hopefully as you progress in business and your company grows, you have other people that come along and help you with that. And we have that here at Stone Brew, and I'm grateful for that.
That's awesome. And creating that culture is a huge factor for business in general, because the people who work for you and work with you are what drive your business.
Right.
And
and they tend to be the face even more than you might be.
Yep.
There's so many customers that come into our cafe on a regular basis that I don't know their names, I don't know their orders, but my employees sure do. The staff at the store sure does. And so they're just as much of a face of the company as the owner or whoever may be.
I agree. And how many employees do you currently have right now?
I'm guessing we're probably in like the 30 range, 25 to 30, something like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And starting out with just 2 people or 3 people, that's like...
Yeah, we definitely, it was, I think we had Robbie and at the most 5 in those early days. So yeah, it's grown quite a bit.
Yeah, and moving also into the systems that you are implementing for the culture for your employees, how are you guys organizing the entire business? Like, what are your processes now?
Well, that's a pretty detailed question. There's a lot that would go into that, but we went through a process of, I would say that I tried to act as I'm managing or part of management for the cafe in the early years, along with Robbie, who managed day to day. But I still try to kind of like keep a handle on things. And Robbie ended up going to work for a different company, and so we kind of shifted and had a period of time where we didn't have a really well-defined structure of as far as like corporate structure and hierarchy in the store of like who's in charge, and if they're gone, who's in charge. So it's been developing that, and we now have a very strong director of retail who manages our store at Sunnybrook and then helps here with the retail side. And then we have our wholesale director, which is Adrian Colbo. So he manages more of the wholesale side of the business as far as managing client relationships and so forth with our wholesale clients. And then my partner, Nick, is the director of coffee. And so he manages what you see behind us here, all those coffee bags and the roasting and our relationships with our suppliers. And then there are so many folks that work with each one of those parts of the business that make everything go from there. But that's, I would say, our corporate structure. And then I just generally oversee everything and try not to get in the way. But if I see something that could maybe be done a little bit differently or, in my opinion, better, I try and jump in and help when I can. So
you're always involved in the business, which is what you need, especially to be
right.
someone where your employees look up to you, and even your director of coffee is he wants to look up to you because you guys are in this together. And I think that's the whole concept of a business, is it's a team effort.
Yeah, you're on the boat together. You know, don't start shooting holes in it. I mean, you're floating on it together. So.
Yeah. And so what were some of the struggles that you had personally with the business that you thought set you guys back, or maybe even improved you guys for the future?
Well, I think learning how to hire and fire was a really big one. So if somebody's listening to this and they're starting a business and they are maybe dealing with an employee who isn't doing what they're supposed to, or is maybe causing friction in the staff, like the sooner you address that, the better. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't have to be confrontational. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It's best done, in my opinion, with hey, this just isn't working out for us. I just don't think you're a good fit here, and we need to go a different direction. Yeah. And it can be that simple. And most people take it extremely well. Some people want to argue. And in those circumstances, they're just kind of confirming why they're not a good fit. If it gets to that point and you tell them they're not, and then they want to argue with you, it's like, okay, well, this is why. Yeah. But anyway, so that's something that I think is really important. And then developing people is something that we still are trying to build those training programs or training systems and provide opportunities to help people improve within the business is important. And then to provide opportunities for people to do better in their career. I mean, if you want somebody to stay with you for a longer period of time, as a president or leader or CEO of a business, you're not just responsible for your bank account and your family's future. You're responsible for everybody that works with you. Yeah. That they're relying on you to make good decisions and to grow an opportunity for them. Because, like I said earlier, we're all in the same boat. So yeah, those are the things I would say: is that hiring and firing, developing staff, and then continuing to market. Which I think we can do a better job. The fact that you didn't know what the Stone Brew U was tells me that I should probably do a better job of storytelling.
Definitely.
And so those are probably the things on my mind.
People will know now.
Hopefully so, yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit more people shall understand what the U means.
That's right.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And what are you guys focusing on right now for marketing?
So right now we do mainly just social media. Mm-hmm. I do boost a few of the posts, but I really want to dive deeper into, I don't even know if I'd say direct mail, or maybe targeted direct mail might be something. Sure. Where we're reaching out to very specific people that are in our business that we want to touch base with. I think we're going to do more cold calling or door knocking. That might be a better term, where we're not going to go door to door in a residential neighborhood, but we might go door to door to cafes in our region and just walk in with a Stone Brew hat or a Stone Brew t-shirt and drop off a bag of coffee and buy a cup from them and just say, hey, wanted to stop in and introduce ourselves, and if we can ever do anything to help you, here's our services, here's my card, give me a call, and just continue to touch base with them so that they can put a face with the company, and then hopefully when something goes wrong with a machine or their coffee doesn't show up on time from their current supplier, and they're trying to think of, well, who's the solution, they'll think of us.
Right.
So
just nurturing the client.
Exactly.
To get there.
So it's with this business now, there's really two sides. There's the wholesale side, which is you have way fewer people that you're going after as far as the market's a lot smaller. It's basically cafe owners or prospective cafe owners.
Right.
Where on the retail side, that's a completely different marketing strategy, which from there it's more about the branding, the storytelling, and creating opportunities for people that haven't ever heard of your product or haven't experienced it yet to do that. And for those that have, reminding them to keep coming back and frequenting the business. So.
Of course. And what are your guys' competitive advantages that separate you from some of these other companies?
Well, I think on the retail side, I really think our product is superior. I mean, we'll start from the bottom for the coffee. We bring in specialty grade coffee. We small batch roast in the Diedrich IR12 here. That's in about 18-pound batches. What we serve in our cafes is typically roasted the week before, which is like peak freshness. Mm-hmm. So that's the coffee. We use some of the best equipment in the world. We use Mavam espresso machines in our stores, which are made in Seattle, and they're, in my opinion, they're really second to none. They're just the quality of temperature stability, the water, the pressure consistency, just everything about even the way the steam wands work. Those machines create really, really good espresso. Really cool pre-infusion features and so forth. After that, the milk, we use Burbach Dairy, so it's a local milk. We pay double for our milk what other cafes in town will if they're buying from a standard milk supplier, like a big name milk supplier. We probably pay about double, but the quality of the milk is there. It's way better, it's fresher, and you can taste the difference.
I definitely do.
Yeah, you can taste the difference. Our sauces and syrups that we use Torani, and we use their Pure Made products, which a lot of people know Torani. I mean, I think we're hitting their stride in the late 90s, and everybody kind of knows their blue, red, and yellow label.
Yep.
And that product is there. It's a great product, but they've come out now with it's called Pure Made. And if you look at their ingredients list, there's only 5 or 6 ingredients in the sauces and the syrups. They're very clean, very well made, and they taste amazing. And there's 0 sugar flavors. It's hard to tell that there's no sugar in them. Versus the sugar-free, a lot of sugar-free sauces and syrups in the industry, you can kind of taste that sugar-free flavor, almost like a diet soda flavor thing going on.
Right.
But the 0 sugar stuff from Torani is outstanding. So, and then our cups, we use Seda double wall cups, a true double wall. Coffee stays hotter longer. We use the twist top lids, which you just figured out. So if you want to, instead of a stopper or a sticker, you just twist the lid. So I guess all of those things, then all down to the location and the design of cafe. We've put a lot into trying to create a very high quality product, to have people who deliver it with a smile and who provide great customer service. So those, I think, are our competitive advantages on the retail side.
Sure.
You kind of like asking a parent what they like about their kid when you ask that question.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of things that I think make Stone Brew great. On the wholesale side, I think it's all of the things that I just mentioned about our cafes. We can help other people set up their cafes in a similar way, mm-hmm. and tell them why we use the products that we do. Obviously, they have the right to do whatever they want, but we can tell them, this is what we found that works, but you do what's right for you and your cafe and your brand. But then also on the equipment side, being able to set up the workflow on the bar correctly so that they're not crisscrossing arms and
Right.
not doing what I did in our first store where espresso machines over here, sinks on the other side of the room, and ice machine is over in that corner. It was like the evil triangle of trying to make a coffee beverage at Gordon. So we fixed that and have continued to refine our workflow. So helping cafe owners not make some of those early mistakes that we made, I think is what we really provide on the wholesale side.
That's awesome, because that's a huge focus on quality is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Like quality is top notch. You're not looking for anything specific that other businesses might be looking for, where, you know, customer service is like our main priority, or our marketing is just superior so people think of us as a certain way. It's the actual quality is represented within the brand, and it has all of those other components with it, which I think is amazing. And dude, I love the coffee. It's
Thanks,
so good. Like,
well, I think like I'm way older than you. You told me how old you are, and I'm, you know, let's see, 14 years, 15 years older than you, but I still kind of consider myself part of a little bit younger generation, where like we grew up with the internet, and I grew up with a lot slower internet than you did, but I still grew up with the internet. So like coming of age with social media and just being bombarded with ads nonstop every day of our lives, we just have a way bigger BS meter.
Yep.
And like we can spot BS, we can tell if something is inauthentic, and quality and craftsmanship and attention to detail and customer service are all things that if they're not authentic, if they're not real, that I feel like people are going to pick up on. So it's my hope, and I think our goal as a company to genuinely be about these things and do our best to try and reach that bar every day. And we don't always do it perfect, but that's what we're shooting for. We're trying. So
yeah, more than most people too.
hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's difficult, especially for like a franchise, I think. There's two completely different aspects to the business, because you guys are focused more so on the, you know, internal, locally being awesome in your area
Right.
versus a Starbucks or a Scooters that's just like, all right, let's put this store up and let's just do some more marketing. So it's different.
Yeah. And I got a lot of respect for those businesses, because what they've done is extremely difficult.
Right.
I mean, to build a brand and then a business system that you can replicate into community after community and have them not close down in the first 6 months, like that's a major accomplishment. And then for them to grow the way that they have, I mean, kudos and tip of the hat to those guys. But that's part of the reason that we didn't go that way, I didn't want to try and manage a bunch of young folks that are 4 hours away, who are carrying the flag of the company, and I have no idea what's going on there. So maybe I'm just a control freak or whatever. I haven't been able to do that yet. But that's the reason we didn't go that way, is what you just said. Is, you know, you maybe don't have that attention to detail or that personal touch with something that is more of a franchise or a big corporate company that hopefully we can provide at our store.
Definitely. And where do you see Stone Brew going within the next 5 years?
Well, we're certainly growing the wholesale side of our business. We want to continue to refine our retail operation and continue to improve the quality of the product and the service there. But we do not intend or plan to open any additional retail stores in town as of right now. I always say the caveat to that, or the one that I always kind of have in the back of my head, is like Northside or Hamilton. I feel like could be an interesting market for us maybe in the future, but that's literally the only thing in my head that I might consider, and that to me is 3 to 5 years down the road. But from there, we just want to help as many people as we can improve their cafes, make more money, provide a better product, or for those folks that are in a job in an industry that they hate and they love coffee and they've always wanted to own a coffee shop but like don't know where to start, like that's what we're here for. And you can call us up and come down here. We can sit down over a cup of coffee and hammer out, you know, what does it look like to own and operate a cafe and how do you get started. So
I love it. And this is kind of a segue to that question of where you're going to be, but I might know an answer. But like, if finances weren't an issue, you know, you had all the money in the world, what are you doing right now?
Me personally?
Well,
or as a company?
As a company.
I think we're doing what we're doing now, but just maybe louder with our marketing.
Okay, so marketing would be the focus.
Yeah, I think if money wasn't an issue, then everybody gets a really big raise and a really nice Christmas bonus, and we tell more people about what we're working on. That would probably be the main focus. We wouldn't go out and build a whole bunch of stores, I can tell you that. We would probably just try and continue to improve the systems of what we have and then tell more people about what we're working on.
Definitely. Building the foundation more so than ever.
Yeah, and that's what this whole last 6 years has been, is really building a foundation. I don't take a salary from Stone Brew, and that's been because I want to, like, we're trying to build something that has enough momentum and enough brand behind it that is able to self-perpetuate and just continue to grow. And I think we're finally at that point now where we've built a really strong foundation. We have a great cafe at Sunnybrook. We have a beautiful location down here with capacity to grow. And I think we're really ready to attack these next few years and really grow that top line and bottom line revenue.
I love it.
Yeah, man.
Love it. And if, for a business person that's getting into business, or a young person who's in college, still a little confused about what's going on, how they might get started, what direction would you point them in as to just get their foot in the door with stuff?
Well, I think I'm jealous of people your age. And I know that a lot of guys your age and in their early 20s, late teens, kind of look at the economy right now and look at how expensive everything is. And I think, like, man, like, how am I going to break into this market? And I think that we're going to see a pretty serious shift in the global economy. I'm no Nostradamus. We're already seeing this happening. But I think it's going to be significant. And I feel like the opportunities that are going to be coming for young people looking to break into business or get started in life, I think there's going to be some really good opportunities to do so coming up. And something I like to say is it's not good enough to be at the right place at the right time. You have to be the right person at the right place at the right time. And the right place and time is coming. So you focus on becoming the right person. What are you reading? Who are your friends? What's your network? Like, who do you know that if you were to find the best deal you've ever seen, that you could call and say, hey, this is an opportunity that we should go after. Do you want to do it? And if you don't know anybody like that, start to develop those connections. And if you don't know what a good deal looks like, then you better become a person who can spot a good deal. And that is literally just, personal development. That's reading books. I got started on Rich Dad, Poor Dad when I was probably like 16. I think I actually read Cash Flow Quadrant first, which was his second book, so Robert Kiyosaki.
Yep.
And then I got into everything that he put out. And then before Donald Trump was in politics and all that, I got into reading his books when I was younger. And he has some really good real estate focused business books back in the day. And then, man, there's so much personal development stuff available for young people that you just got to dive in and start working. One of my favorite guys right now, just got into him the last few weeks, is Alex Hormozi.
Yep.
Love Alex Hormozi. That guy, like, from somebody who's in business, I haven't heheard him say anything that I'm like, he's wrong. Like, that guy just hits the nail on the head.
He's a unit too.
Yeah, just day after day, he's stacked. And I mean, he's he definitely got a man crush on that guy because he's killing it. And then his wife Layla, she's got great information as well. So if somebody's looking for great YouTube content, highly recommend those guys. And other than that, just figure out how to read a balance statement. Figure out what a balance statement is if you don't know that. Like, be able to read the stories of what's going on in a business through the numbers. and that'll help you identify opportunities in real estate or in purchasing a business, or if you want to start your own company. I think it helps you hopefully plot a better path and manage your business better as you grow it.
Yeah, and getting started is a huge thing, and it's a leap that a lot of people are afraid to take, but if you take the leap, you could have some awesome results.
Yeah, and you can develop yourself working for another company. Like, if you don't have the right opportunity, if it's not obvious to you, like, if I don't do this, I just can't live another day. Like, if you don't have that kind of an opportunity in front of you or a drive to start something, if you're just like, I don't know what to do, get a job. And there's nothing wrong with that. Go to work for a company that you feel has something to teach you, whether it's sales, whether it's, you know, a particular business type or industry that you want to learn more about. Just go to work and just do so with intent to learn. I worked for Shields for 3 years when we first moved to Sioux City, and I learned a tremendous amount working for that company. Great company, incredible systems, and learned a lot. Went in there, and you know, they were private, and I remember questioning, you know, why are you guys private? Like, you could go public and make all this money, because in my mind, I'm just thinking like, you know, maximize dollars, and
right.
It's like, no, we're going to stay private. And then now, the longer that I'm in business, it starts to make sense, like why they do the things that they do. It's a very cash-heavy business. They're extremely secure, and it's kind of an old-school mindset. And I really have grown to appreciate that now, being in business a little bit longer. That, let's say there is a pullback, I promise your Shields ain't closing anytime soon. And go to work for companies like that where you can learn. So yeah, don't feel like you got to force something. Just continue to try and grow and develop your skills, your understanding, your network, who you know, your friend group. I mean, you're the sum of your closest 5 friends. Like, if your friends are all a bunch of losers who go partying every week, maybe start to develop different friends. Maybe you don't just, you know, write them off and never see them again, but maybe you start to spend more time with some people that you respect and that you want to grow to be like. Try and spend more time with those people and a little less time messing around.
Show me your friends, I'll show you your future.
It's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And before I ask you my final question,
yeah,
what is a question that you would have liked me to ask you?
I kind of just went over it, that like, don't be discouraged if you're young and just getting started. Like, you are living on the edge of what might be the greatest opportunity in the last 100 years of this economy and of this country. I think there is going to be tremendous opportunities. Do not chase the flash in the pan stuff. Don't try and catch the next Dogecoin or, you know, the next NFT. That's not, I promise, that's not where the big money is going to be made. There's going to be opportunities in business that's providing value to people. So learn how to spot value, like who's providing a benefit where it costs them, you know, X to create this thing, and they sell it for Y, and the person who's buying it feels like they got the better deal, right? Like, you got to have a product that's so good that you're making margin and you're still selling it below what the customer thinks it's worth. Like, if you can do that, you're going to make a bunch of money over the next 10 years. So find those things. And with some of the investments out there, like NFTs as an example, there will be some that skyrocket, and there will be some people that make mega money on some asset like that, where they call it the greater fool. I mean, you're looking for somebody who's just willing to pay more for it than what you did, not because that thing provides them any additional value than what it costs, but because they think that somebody down the road is going to be a bigger fool than them and pay for it, pay more than what they paid. So if you're young and getting started, avoid those things, because if you plow a bunch of money into those things and they don't hit, then that could set you back, you know, years. on time. But if you take that same money, that same time, and invest it into like creating value, I promise that you will be in a lot better place in 5 years than if you just sat around, playing Madden or whatever people do these days. I don't even know. So
I couldn't tell you either, honestly.
So that's be excited. There's gonna be some hard times, some kind of sad stories, but there's gonna be some really great opportunities coming.
And invest in yourself.
Invest in yourself. I promise you'll get a return guaranteed on that. Like and on some of the personal development stuff, it doesn't have to be just about money. It can be about personal responsibility. It can be about relationships. It can be about discipline. It can be about all of these things that if you're developing that side of your personality, that side of your character, if you're working on those things, that will transfer into your financial life, into your business life, and you'll find yourself in a better place in a few years.
Couldn't have been said better.
Oh, hopefully.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So my final question to you is, what are some of the books that you read that drastically changed your perspective or your outlook and your overall demeanor towards business?
So I think the first one, being like those Robert Kiyosaki books, I think really changed my perspective on money and changed me from, one of his adages is the rich don't work for money. They know how to have money work for them. Like that's a major mindset shift because you always think about, I'm going to get a job so that I can go to work for money.
Yeah.
And everybody has to do that at some point. But the goal should be, and you should be thinking of down the road, how do I turn this around so that the money is working for me and is growing itself, right? So I think on a personal finance level, the Robert Kiyosaki stuff is outstanding. A book I've read recently is Alex Hormozi's book, the 100M or $100 Million Offers. Great book. A book that I talk about a lot that I think changed my mindset and perspective on everything in life is actually a book called Anti-Fragile by Nassim Taleb. I reread that book constantly. That is my favorite author, well, probably second favorite author. And my favorite one is a little more controversial, but Ayn Rand. I'm a big capitalist. I believe in free markets. I'm a very big liberty person. I believe in the individual and people's freedoms. And so Atlas Shrugged is probably my favorite book of all time. And if you look at my Audible, what I've listened to like the most hours, Atlas Shrugged is definitely going to be highest on that list. And right after that is probably Anti-Fragile because I re-listen to those two books regularly. So is that enough or do you want more?
Yeah, no, I think that's enough. I mean, I've also been listening to books and reading them and stuff. And literally the other day, it was a quote by Alex Hormozi, and he was saying like, you can read 5 books, 5 times each time. But if you read 20 books once, you're not going to retain the information that's better.
Right.
So if you can find 1 or 2 high quality books and keep rereading them, you're going to comprehend and be able to actually use that information to its fullest potential versus just taking little snippets from here and there that you read.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's great.
You learn that in Sunday school with like the Bible. I mean, it's like the words don't change, but your position in life does.
Yeah.
And so like how you might read a particular text or a particular part of the book is going to hit you different as you age and as you reach different points. Similar thing with business books, personal development books that, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People is probably the other one that I'd want to throw in there as like on a personal, whether it's a relationship or business side, that book is timeless. And that's a book that like you read that multiple times in your life at different points because I think you'll get something different out of it every time.
For sure. Alrighty, Brad. Well, I appreciate you coming on here with me.
Thanks for having me.
Taking
Enjoy the conversation.
Yeah, seriously. And also, if somebody wants to reach out to you or wants to come to Stone Brew, where can they find you and where can they find your locations?
Yeah, so Stone Brew, our retail locations, 5822 Sunnybrook Drive. open 7 to 7 Monday through Saturday, and then 7 to 5 on Sundays. The building we're sitting in now is our new roastery and headquarters. It's at 101 West 3rd Street, and we are open to the public from 8 to noon, Monday through Friday. And then we actually do lease this space out for special events on the weekends and evenings. And somebody can shoot me an email at brad@stonebrew, find me on social media, and I love talking about business, so
Awesome.
yeah, hit me up.
I appreciate it, Brad. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Enjoyed it.